Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this video. I hope you're doing well. So in today's video I want to talk about the potential for future heroes in Marvel's Avengers. I want to go over how they might play, their abilities, how their combat might work, and I also want to do a little bit of a community spotlight on some artwork and fan concepts on Reddit. I think there's some really cool stuff happening on there right now, and I think it definitely deserves some attention. So I'm going to start by showing some of my own earliest concepts that I posted there. I did do more than this, but some of them haven't really aged as well as I'd probably like. I like to feel I've gotten slightly better at editing over the past few weeks that I've been doing this, so I'm just going to show some of my personal favourite ones, go over whether I think there's a chance that these heroes could actually make it into the game, and talk about what we know currently in terms of leaks and rumours. I also just want to acknowledge, obviously, we know Black Panther's coming to the game. His suit looks absolutely incredible, and I think his combat's going to be amazing. Obviously they're going to incorporate his claws. We know from some leaks that he actually potentially will use a spear and throw in blades as well, so I'm confident that his combat's going to be absolutely fantastic. I have no doubt. They pretty much always nail that aspect of the game, so I'm not going to talk too much about him because I think we all generally get an idea of how he's going to be. I want to talk more about the heroes that could possibly come after him, and also maybe change it up a little bit as well, because we've got a lot of heroes that are based around physical attacks, and I do kind of want to talk about heroes that might use things like magic or energy to really spice things up a little bit. So after how much of a huge success WandaVision recently was on Disney Plus, I think the demand for Scarlet Witch is probably higher than ever. She's definitely got the potential to be one of the most unique characters in the game, using chaos magic, hex abilities, possibly even ways to alter enemies in her environment around her as well. In my opinion, she'd probably work best as a support type character, hovering over the battlefield, raining down spells, area of effect attacks, using mind control to make enemies fight each other. She could even do things like that, applying buffs to her allies. While the energy-based attacks at close range definitely shouldn't be underestimated, I think she's an opportunity for the devs to focus on a different gameplay style than the beat-em-up type characters that we've had so far. There's a scene from Captain America Civil War that I really like where she uses her powers to launch Cap into the air, and that could definitely be worked into a kit. So imagine that she can switch spell types the same way that Iron Man switches between repulsors, lasers and rockets. She could switch to a launch ability, fire the spell at the ground to create a launch pad, similar to the anti-gravity plates that are already in the game. So if another character then uses that launch pad, obviously they get thrown up into the air and then they can do their ground slam AoE attack, as well as obviously being a really cool aid for traversal for characters that can't fly. And again, to touch on support type abilities, it would be really cool if she could create shields around herself and other characters as well. So the next character I want to talk about is Vision, obviously again coming off the back of the success of WandaVision. I think he'd be a really interesting character to play. Obviously you've got his phasing ability, which I've done a quick little concept there just to show how that could look, which could be worked into a perfect dodge ability or is intrinsic as well. So on Reddit there is actually a full breakdown of how Vision could work in the game by a user called WarMachine425. I don't think there's anything that I could do to come up with his abilities or combat that would be better than what they've already done, if I was to be completely honest. So I'm going to leave a link to their post in the description below, and I strongly urge you to go and check that out if you're interested in how Vision could work in the game. It's unfortunately been archived now, so you can no longer upvote the post, but I believe you can still drop an award on it, so if you really like it, you know, drop that award on there, give them a little bit of Reddit karma, I'm sure they'd appreciate it. So up next we've got the fan favourite Ralph Boner. No, actually what I mean is obviously Quicksilver. I think Quicksilver and, well, just speedsters in general are one of the most difficult types of characters to add to the game. It's really complex, especially in a multiplayer game, to add these type of slowdown mechanics, which is realistically the only way he could probably work. Now you could do something with his intrinsic ability to make it so that he can dash between enemies really quickly when you attack, and that could definitely work. Obviously, as you can see from on screen, I've got some abilities in the heroic section. So I've got a sort of whirlwind ability where you run around an enemy really quickly. There's also, it's very faint on the screen actually, you can't see it very well, but there's also a sort of clock image to signify being able to slow down time. Now the problem with the slow down time mechanic is that if you slow down time for everyone in the game, people might get a little bit frustrated that the match is slowing down every time you use your ultimate. Not everybody wants to go into that super slow-mo. So next, as you can see, we've got Daredevil, who I think would be a really interesting character as well. He's obviously more like your traditional brawler type character, uses a lot of physical combat abilities. He's obviously got his billy club, which he can throw. He can use the wire to bring it back. He could spin it round. But overall, I think, yeah, he's quite a sort of similar character to what we've already got in the game. Probably very similar to the likes of Captain America and Black Widow. Obviously, he'd have his own unique animations, but in terms of the overall gameplay style, I don't think he'd be massively different to what we've already seen before. Now, I could be completely wrong. You may have some ideas that I just totally haven't thought of for Daredevil, and please let me know in the comments below if that's the case, especially when it comes to his heroic abilities. My thoughts on that was something like obviously using his sonar vision, something like the way he sees the world is the world on fire. You could do some interesting stuff with that as well. So I just wanted to show the visual concept for how he might look more than anything in the game. But yeah, I think he could be really interesting to play as. This one's just a really quick concept I threw together for War Machine, so I'm not going to go into too much detail because I haven't really worked on any abilities or ideas. I think the main thing would be his intrinsic would be tied to his minigun, would be extremely cool, so you can counter with it. I think that would be awesome. Last but not least, for my own personal concepts, you've got one of my favourite Marvel characters, which is Wolverine. Now, obviously, he's more of a brawler type character, similar to Captain America and Black Widow again, but because he's got his adamantium skeleton, he's got his claws, he's got his animal-like senses, and of course his healing ability as well, and his berserk rage. There's a lot that you could do to tie into his abilities, his intrinsic. I'd imagine his intrinsic would be something like you hold it down to go into a berserk rage mode, take less damage, or heal over time. There's lots of interesting things you could do with that. I think he'd be a very fast-paced, sort of, aggressive type character that takes a lot of aggro. So I'd definitely like to play as Wolverine. I'm really, really excited to get him into the game. Now, if you've seen the film X-Men Origins Wolverine, obviously, I mean, it's got some moments in it that are pretty good, but overall, it's not considered to be a very good X-Men film out of the Fox series. But if you've played the game, I actually think the game is probably one of the best superhero games of that era of movie tie-in games. It's ridiculously over the top, really violent actually, considering it was based on a movie that wasn't rated 18. It's very gory. There's a lot of really cool animations. One of the best parts about the game, I think, is this lunge mechanic where you can lock onto an enemy and Wolverine will leap through the air and stab them with his claws, and it's just really, really cool. And I'd love to see that ability translated directly into this game. I think it'd be a really cool mechanic, especially because there's not a lot you could really do for Wolverine in terms of ranged ability. So I think having that lunge attack would probably be a really good counter for that. So I'm really excited. I hope he does eventually come to the game. And just before we wrap up, I want to give my opinions on whether I think any of this is actually likely. You know, are we going to see these characters at some point? And if I'm being completely honest, you know, with the image on screen now, I think that's what everybody wants the game's title screen to eventually look like. Is that going to happen? Realistically, probably not. Do I think we're going to get characters after Black Panther and Spider-Man? Yeah. Do I think the game is going to improve and make a bit of a comeback? Hopefully. I definitely think it's capable of it. And, you know, I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to eventually have a character screen with that many characters on it. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I know that we have had some leaks from the likes of Miller on Twitter, who has gone through the files and found references to She-Hulk, War Machine, you know, quite a few different characters, Winter Soldier I believe as well. So it's, you know, the devs know what characters we want. They know what characters will work well in the game, and all we can really do at this point is speculate and hope. So I'm going to close out this video with some community content from Reddit, everything from artwork to concepts of characters, and even some stuff about gear as well. I think if Crystal Dynamics starts really paying more attention to what the community are creating, then we're in for a bright future with this game. I'm really hopeful for it. I know it's still got a lot of issues, but I really do think it can make a good turnaround. I'm going to leave credit where credit's due to all these posts in the description below, so make sure you check them out. Some of them are it's really good stuff. There is one especially that I'm going to leave till the end, which is a couple of War Machine concepts, which honestly are just brilliant. I really enjoyed these ones. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to let you enjoy these concepts, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. I really appreciate it, and of course give me any constructive feedback as well. Catch you guys later.